Let us now come to the next illustration of the course in which we will illustrate to you how you can edit multiple sheets at one time in an Excel model. The main idea here is to show how we can work on multiple sheets together at one go so that we don't need to repeat the editing or formatting of the different sheets. This in turn should help you to increase your efficiency at working on a financial model in an Excel spreadsheet. So how do we do it? Let us illustrate this with an example. In this example, we have provided you the income statement for the 5 different business units of a company. Let us see what data we have captured in each of the business units. So if you go to the BU1 tab, which captures the information for the first business unit of this company, we have provided to you the income statement of this company from the years 2016 up until 2022. So there is historical as well as forecasted data for this company. Now, the structure of an income statement is a typical structure. That is, we start with the revenues of the company and then we deduct all the different cost items to arrive at the profits after tax or the PAT of the company. So this is the typical income statement of any company. You start with the revenues, you deduct cost of services and the SG&A expenses to arrive at the EBITDA of the company. From the EBITDA, you subtract depreciation and amortization and you arrive at EBIT of the company. Then you add the interest income, you subtract the interest expenses, you come to the PBT or the profits before tax of the company, and from that you subtract taxes to arrive at the profits after tax or the PAT of the company. So this is the typical income statement structure that we have captured for the first business unit of this company on the BU1 tab. Below, that is on row number 21, 22 and 23, there are a few important ratios of financial metrics that we would like to calculate for this business unit of this company. In fact, if you go to BU2 tab, you will notice we have the same structure in terms of the income statement that we had in the BU1 tab, but the numbers are different because this time it relates to the second business unit of the company. Similarly, in BU3 tab, we have the financials of the third company. In BU4 tab, we have the income statement of the fourth business unit of the company. And on BU5 tab, we have the information for the fifth business unit of the company. So BU1 to BU5 captures the income statement of this company in a standard format. Now, what is the exercise? The exercise that we have been given is to format all the sheets consistently. That is the first part of the exercise. And the second part is to calculate the key financial ratios for each of the business unit. So there are two exercises that we need to do. Let's understand them one by one. Now, when we say formatting, if you notice that when we come to the BU1 tab, there is a bit of formatting that you can do to make the financial statements look little better. Similarly, the same formatting changes needs to be carried out in each of the different 5 business units. Now, one option that you can do is to format each of these sheets separately. However, that will involve a lot of time and it will be non-productive to do the formatting on the 5 sheets separately. So then how else can we do this simultaneously across the sheet? That is exactly our first exercise in which we will illustrate to you how you can carry out the formatting changes on all the 5 sheets simultaneously using some functionalities in Excel. Right? So that is our first exercise. And the second exercise that we want to do is that we would like to calculate the revenue growth, the EBITDA margin, and the net income margin for all the 5 companies in each of the different sheets. In fact, if you go to BU2 tab, we have the same metrics that we would like to calculate for all the different business units from BU2 to BU5. So in this illustration, we will be doing two things. One, we will format all the 5 sheets consistently at the same time. And second, we will also calculate some important financial metrics for all the 5 business units at the same time. Let us see how we go about doing this. Before we proceed to show you how, it is important to remember that for editing multiple sheets simultaneously in Excel, the data in the sheets should be in the same layout. For example, in our illustration, we have the data on the 5 different business units of a company in a similar layout. That is, it starts on row number 4 and then goes down until row number 23. Similarly, the structure of BU2 tab is same, that it starts on row number 4 with the exact line items that you see, and it again ends at row number 23, similar to the BU1 tab. In fact, this is the data structure that you will see across all the different 5 units that we have captured here. So it is important to note that to edit multiple sheets simultaneously, in order for it to be effective, you need to have the data laid out in the different sheets in a consistent layout. That will ensure that the formatting changes that we carry out or any editing that we do happens consistently across all the different sheets. So let's come back to BU1 tab and let's see how we can now finally edit all the different sheets simultaneously in Excel. The first thing that we have to do is to select all the 5 sheets. To do that, we will keep the BU1 tab active. I will press Shift and simply select the last tab on the sheet where we would like to edit. So I will simply select the BU5 tab, and the moment I do that, notice that all the 5 sheets have been selected. That is, now we have all the 5 sheets selected, which you will notice that the color of the different tabs have become white. So in other words, we have now selected all the 5 different sheets by simply pressing the Shift key and selecting from BU1 to BU5 tab. So it has simply selected all the 5 sheets on which we would like to do the formatting, and this is our starting point to do this illustration. Now, the active sheet is still BU1, so we remain on BU1 sheet, and we will start carrying out the formatting changes on BU1 tab such that whatever we do on the BU1 tab will also now get reflected across all the 5 different sheets. Let us see how. Now, the first thing that we can do is to format row number 4, which is our heading row. To do the formatting, I will simply first select the entire data of row number 4. So I make a selection. I can color it differently. So I go to my color drop down and I will simply choose a blue color, a blue accent color, and I will make the font to be white. And I will simply bold it. What this does is to format row number 4 consistently. The next thing that we want to do is to put a line before any major line item. So EBITDA is a major line item. I will simply select the SG&A data line and I will simply say border, and I will come to this border and say bottom border. The moment I do that, notice there is a bottom border that is there below the SG&A expenses, which shows that EBITDA is a calculated number. The next thing that we can do is put a similar border line below the depreciation line. So I say again bottom border. We'll come down. We'll put a same border line under the interest expenses. And then finally on the PAT line, we'll do a double bottom border. I'll come to the border drop down, and this time I will select top and double bottom border. The moment I do that, notice we have a double bottom border line for the PAT item because it's the penultimate calculation on our income statement. So far so good. So we have carried out some basic changes so far on our BU1 tab. Now let's do another formatting. Let's bold all the important line items in this data sheet. So let's bold the EBITDA number. So I'll simply select the EBITDA number and I say bold. Let's select the EBIT number. I simply select the EBIT number and I say bold. I again select the PBT number and I simply say bold. And again PAT, and we can say bold. Right? So we have now boldened all the important line items. The other formatting that you can do, if you notice, and this is optional really, you can delete some of these white lines that are there between the different line items. So I will simply select row number 5 and using the shortcut Alt-D, remove the earlier line. Similarly, remove this line. So we have deleted all the white lines that was there in between the different line items on the income statement, such that the income statement is now cleanly represented on our data sheet, right? So this is the formatting that we have done. Now let's see if we have been able to make the same formatting changes across all the different 5 units. To do that, let us remove the selection. So I'll again come to the BU1 tab, press Shift, and I again click on the BU1 tab. The moment I do that, the selection gets deselected and now all the sheets are on their own. So if you now come to the BU2 tab, you will notice that the formatting changes that we did has been carried out on the BU2 tab also. And same thing on BU3 tab. The same thing on the BU4 tab. And the same formatting changes have been carried out on the BU5 tab. So notice how quickly we were able to format all the 5 sheets at one go simultaneously in an Excel model, as long as the data was laid out in a consistent format across all the 5 sheets that was edited. Now we will use the same approach to now calculate some of these ratios. That is, if you come down on row number 17 to 19, we have a few ratios that are calculated. We have a few important financial metrics that we can calculate for all the business units. Again, we will do it simultaneously. So once again, I come to BU1 tab. I press Shift and select the last tab on which we want the data to be edited. So I click on the BU5 tab. Remember, you have to continue pressing Shift when you select BU5. So once again, all the data sheets has got selected. Now let's calculate this metric, the revenue growth. Now for revenue growth calculation, we need the 2015 data, which unfortunately we don't have. So we can't really calculate the revenue growth for 2016. I'll start with 2017. The 2017 revenue growth can be calculated as equal to the 2017 revenue, which is given by cell E5. I divide it by the 2016 revenue, which is D5, and I simply say -1. The moment I do that, we get 0.08. Let's reformat the data. I will make it center. I will say percentage, and I will increase the decimal points by 1. So it's 8.3%, which is the growth rate of BU1 in 2017. I will once again copy the data and simply do right and say paste. So I say Control V. The moment we do that, we have the revenue growth rate calculated for all the different years of this company from 2017 to 2022. Now, what about the EBITDA margin? Here we can start from 2016. So I simply say equal to, the EBITDA margin can be calculated as EBITDA, which is given by cell D8, divided by cell D5, which is the revenue of the company. I press enter. It gives 0.39. I once again press the percentage sign and I say I increase the decimal points and I make it center. I will once again copy this and paste it to the right by saying Control C and Control V. So we have the EBITDA margin calculated. And finally, the net income margin can be calculated as PAT, which is the profits after tax given on cell D15, divided by the revenues of this company, which is cell D5. I press enter. So D15 divided by D5 gives you the net income margin of this company. I once again make this percentage, make it center and increase the decimal point. I will copy the formula and paste it to the right by saying Control C and Control V. So we have calculated the metrics for BU1. Because the selection has been made for all the sheets, the same calculation would have been done for all the other different sheets. Let us just reformat this whole selection. So I make the selection. Let us remove the color. I say to color, I say no fill. And I simply make this thick outside borders. So this gives us thick outside borders for the ratios that we have calculated. And maybe you can add another border line here. So I once again make the selection of cells B17, 18 and 19 and I say thick outside borders. And that again will give us a borderline on cells B17, 18 and 19 on the right side. Now, because we have done this calculation while selecting all the different sheets, ideally the same calculation would have been carried out on all the sheets together. So let's see if the calculation has been done. I once again come to BU1 tab, pressing Shift, I click on it, the selection gets removed. Now if you come to BU2 tab and come down, you will notice that the ratios have been calculated for BU2. If you come down, the ratios have also been calculated for BU3. Again, if you come down, it is done for BU4 and similarly, it is also done for BU5. So notice how we were able to edit all the different sheets together simultaneously to carry out both formatting changes as well as do some calculations on these sheets simultaneously. Now, once again, the important thing that you need to remember here is that the data needs to be laid out consistently across all the sheets. If that is the case, then you can select any number of sheets and carry out these changes in parallel simultaneously without having to do the same thing again and again for all the individual sheets separately. So this is one of the major illustration that we wanted to show in this course, where we have shown you how to edit multiple sheets simultaneously by simply selecting them and carrying out the changes in one of those sheets such that the changes that you do and the new formulas that you write on one sheet will get reflected on all the sheets at the same time.